edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. And of course, today is the October 31st, 2025 edition of This Day. And of course, if you've never followed me before and this is your first time, I hope you come back. But what I do is I give you historic events that happen related to African American baseball players. Now, sometimes not only are they playing baseball, but they're also playing football, basketball, hockey, just a number of sports. Boxing is another one. And I give you a historic event. And then I give you commentary on that event. This is my second time on today. Earlier, I had a great conversation about an outstanding ball player named Al Pinkston, who was the first American inducted into the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame. And he was an African-American man, tremendous baseball player, never really got a shot to play in the American or National League. And so anyway, that was Al Pinkston. So if you want to go back and listen to that. And of course, once again, I'm trying to get to 300 subscribers. So if you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe. I'm new to this format, just been a few, maybe 3, going on 4 months. I say that up quite a bit. And so I'm trying to do some different things. I'm coming to you right now from my office. That's where I've written 9 books and compiled a lot of history, working on some new things right now, as always. And this is all about history, all about African-American participation in sports and in life. So let's jump right in, and I'm not going to take too much of your time because I think I'm going to come back and do one more broadcast tonight. I think I am, so we'll just see. And okay, so let's go with something that happened on this date. Okay, so I'm going to go with a baseball fact, and then I'm going to end with what I call coming and goings. And that's someone who was born on this date, somebody who passed away on this date, and then give you a little commentary on that. Okay, so here we go. Let's go with the first one. October 31st, 1943, Satchel Paige, pitching for the Colored Giants, quote, Colored Giants, struck out 14 members of Joe Peroni's All-Stars, which included 7 in a row, and tossed a 6-hitter in front of 7,500 fans to win a 4-3 game at Gilmore Field in California. So that's more than likely was Los Angeles, California. And these are stories that I picked over the years and from different places. Now, a lot of people use newspaper online and they get their stories from there. And some of them, like myself, who spent a lot of time in libraries. As a matter of fact, there was a newspaper I had this week. I had to go down to the library and do it the old-fashioned way because it wasn't online. So I had to enter the library loan, the microfilm, and then go down. But another way that I get some of this information is this, guys. How about this? Old newspapers. And especially years ago, guys, I used to start by collecting and picking up old African-American newspapers. So if I went somewhere and I saw one, I would pick it up. This one right here is December 2nd. December 26, 1943, an edition of the Chicago Bee. And as far as I know, Chicago Bee has never been chronicled and been online. So having these original editions are pretty good. And I get stories out of these and great sports in there. I get that one. Here's another one that I just happen to have. I'm kind of going through these, and these are original newspapers. This is The Guardian out of Detroit. One that I have here, The Guardian. Usually they have entertainment news, and they'll have sports news and all kind of things like that. So this is how I gather this information that typically you won't find in a lot of places. And there's no place giving you this kind of data. Now, somebody might go out and give you a game, so played so-and-so. There was a game being played all over the place every day, literally, in some year, and you can always find the game. But my unique approach to it is I try to give you games of stature. So if it's a game that some pitcher had 10 strikeouts, maybe somebody tossed a no-hitter, maybe someone hit more than one home run, maybe someone hit a clutch home run, or maybe a clutch grand slam or something like that. I try to give you that kind of information. And so there are guys out there, when they see me doing this, they say, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. And they try to give you one game, but they can't do what I'm doing because, guys, I started compiling my sheet of baseball history about 20 years ago, looking for these really amazing feats by African American baseball players. So that's what makes mine a little different. So we're just going to give you one feat today. Satchel Paige, man, I tell you, talk about him a lot, guys. I think Satchel Paige has more books written about him than any other African American baseball player from the Negro leagues. And so, if you want to know about Satchel Paige, not going to be hard to find a book to pick up and introduce your kids to this man, Satchel Paige, amazing guy, born in Mobile, Alabama, and passed away in 1982 in Kansas City, Missouri. And I still go out every Memorial Day, and I take care of his grave, wiping it down, and sometimes I'll go there and take a little clip. And if you go back in some of my shorts, you'll see one where I'm actually cleaning off his grave, his monument at his gravesite, which I was a part of that dedication back in, I guess it was 1990 when we put that one up. There was a little small monument that they had when he passed away in 1982, but we replaced that one a long time ago. Myself being involved in a guy named Gray was his last name, and he worked for the cemetery, and he designed part of it, and he allowed me to write an inscription on the back of it, so connected me to an all-time great. All right, so that's Satchel Paige. You can learn lots about him. What you want to see, though, is he's beating the, what, quote, Major League All-Stars. Sometimes these Major League teams, they try to tell you, they weren't really Major League. They were Major League in that they were playing in the American National League, but believe me, some of the players had talents that were questionable. So that I'll have to go into another broadcast, but I can go in depth about that conversation. All right, so let's do some comings and some goings, because there's some significant people who passed away on this date, and I don't want to take too much of your time. On October 31st, 1928, Jose Mendez died in Havana, Cuba at age 41. In 1908, the Cuban ace pitched 25 consecutive scoreless innings in a trio of games against the Cincinnati Reds. And let's see, only the melanin in his skin kept him out of the American National Leagues. You can look him up. Jose Mendez. He was around Kansas City. Actually, interesting thing, he managed the Monarchs. He was the manager of the Monarchs in 24. He came, I think he was the manager in 23 also. But when you think about that, the American and National League did not have a Cuban manager until 1938. So just imagine that. I've written about that too in my book about John Buck O'Neill, the 1938 season. So if you want to go in depth on that one, just look in that book, right? Yeah, so the Negro Leagues were doing things that a lot of people weren't doing. Jose Mendez, a great pitcher. And an interesting thing about Jose Mendez, 1916, he's on the All Nations, but he's the second best pitcher on the team. The first best pitcher was John Donaldson, who still can't get in the Hall of Fame, and Jose Mendez is now in the Hall of Fame. Now, John Donaldson, now, in addition to being a great pitcher, was also a great outfielder, a great hitter, a demon on the bases. So was Mendez. Mendez was a great shortstop, played other positions as well. But he made the Hall of Fame, and we're still trying to get John Donaldson in. I can't figure it, but guys, I'll tell you what, a lot of things with the Hall of Fame and the selection process has never been fair, but hopefully John Donaldson will get in on this next time around. All right. Okay, so that's Jose Mendez. I will say, when I first started doing research around Kansas City, people used to say that Jose Mendez had a wife that was still living in Kansas City. I never found her, but I had several people make reference to that she was around, but I never found her. All right, so let's go to another one. October 31st, 1910, Julius A. Rainey Bibbs is born in Henderson, Kentucky. He was traded to the Kansas City Monarchs in 1938, and in exchange that sent Frank Duncan to the American Giants. He's also a standout football player at Indiana State University. Now, the interesting thing about Rainey Bibbs, today he's in the Indiana State College Hall of Fame, and he's also in the Indiana State Baseball Hall of Fame. But years ago, I was looking for him, and I found him in Indianapolis, Indiana, and he had passed away, but his wife Dorothy was still alive, and Dorothy worked with me, and in my book that came out in 1992, I made a lot of references because of Dorothy and the help she had given me to Mr. Bibbs. And now Mr. Bibbs he's got a name out there. But guys, I have lived long enough to see how some of these people came to be. And I remember a time when nobody really gave a damn. And so I'm out here just telling these stories, and there's so many people that are out here now that people still don't care about. But I'm going to do everything I can to change that with every beat in my heart to make that change, guys. I'm giving it all I got and just laying it out here. So that was Julius Rainey's Bibbs. Didn't get a chance to meet him, but I did meet his wife and his son, and then also his granddaughter. I'm still in contact with his granddaughter. All right, let's go to another one. Let's see. This one is a coming. Okay, so this is going to be Robert Bob Thurman. And no, this is going to be a going. So Robert Bob Thurman. So we're going to October 31st, 1998. Robert Bob Thurman died in Wichita, Kansas. Now, he made his National League debut in 1955 at age 37. However, some references say 38. And he made his debut with the Cincinnati Reds. Now, just imagine, guy, this is an outstanding player. He's making his major league debut at age 38. Guys, most of these guys are hanging the cleats up after 38. This guy just now getting there, and I think he played 5 years. But interesting thing about Mr. Thurman, who I happen to know, he lived in Wichita. He and Bob Boyd lived across the street from each other, so I could go down and interview Bob Boyd, who played for the White Sox, and Thurman, who played for the Cincinnati Reds, and I could interview them both. And Thurman had an extensive career in Puerto Rico, so he was well known in Puerto Rico. But these guys were slow getting into the American and National League because I'm gonna just tell you, some teams had a quota. If you don't know that, just know that. I would love to talk about that sometime as well, what I know about that and the information I've read over the years. Anyway, that's Bob Thurman. Interesting thing, Bob Thurman, I think I've told the story before on a prior broadcast. Bob Thurman, he would help the Royals out, the Kansas City Royals. And it just been a case where John Mayberry wasn't hitting well, and the batting coach was Charlie Lyle. And they always talk about how much Charlie Lyle did for John Mayberry. For George Brett. But he wasn't doing very good with John Mayberry. So the Royals, so Charlie Lyle wouldn't be insulted, would have Bob Thurman meet with John Mayberry in a hotel room, and they would work on his hitting off the field in a hotel room. Then they go down to the ballroom and things like that. They would work on techniques to hit and to help John Mayberry. Now, if you want to ask John Mayberry, since Thurman's not here now, you can ask John Mayberry about it. He'll vouch for it too. I know John very well. And so I've got the story from both sides. So that was Bob Thurman. And of course, I will say this, Bob Thurman, he comes on, and the reason we say 37, 38, because a lot of these guys would move their age up, their date of birth up, forward, to make it look like they were younger than they were. And that way they could get a shot at the major leagues, because what kind of league do you think you have when you're bringing up 38, 37, 35-year-old black players? Make you wonder, why didn't you get them when they were 20? And it made you look bad. So they didn't want to bring a lot of these guys up. So many people missed the opportunity because they just couldn't move their age back far enough. I know Willard Brown told me he moved his age up. And but I ran into that quite a bit. And I've talked about this in different broadcasts. And I did talk about it today, earlier when I was talking about Al Pinkston. So Bob Thurman, is he good? Oh yeah, he's a good ball player. I put down here, in 1956, Thurman hit 3 home runs in the Cincinnati Reds in a 13-4 victory. I can't remember who they played, but he had 3 home runs. I remember Frank Robinson also hit one in that game. I think Ted Kluszewski hit one, Wally Post hit one in that game. They had a total of 8 home runs hit in that game, and Thurman hit 3. So guys, just imagine what they missed on this guy when he was young. So that kind of just gives you a little bit about this day in Black baseball history, October 31st, man, some pretty good stuff. I didn't go very deeply into things that happened on this day, but I think I'm going to come back after all the kiddos leave this evening from trick or treating and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to come back and do another broadcast. And so this will be my third broadcast for today. So, like I said, I'm doing a triple header today. I've already done two. So you might say right now I'm in a double header. So then the reason I'm doing this, guys, I'm trying to get to my 300 subscribers. So, guys, if I'm not that far away, I'm probably maybe less than 15 away. So if you like what I'm doing, guys, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate that very much. Okay, on the way out, I might need to say something. There's some guy named Toma somebody. He says hello. And there's another one, Levi Animation says hello. Hello, Levi and Toma. And there's another guy here that says Bakugo. I'm not sure you pronounce that. But he also says hello. And guys, I appreciate it. Let me see if there's anybody else in here. There's somebody just says B. There's just a B, the initial B. So I appreciate all you guys joining in. If you like this kind of information, if you like history, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share the broadcast. Maybe you have a few friends that might like baseball. But if you just want to know about American history, this is a way to do it, because not only do I talk about baseball, but I'll talk about a lot of social history as well, in places I've been. And like today, I'm talking about meeting Rainey Bibb's family in Indianapolis. Originally he started in Terre Haute. I've been there, presented in Los Angeles a lot of times. And of course, I present in Wichita frequently, at least about once a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times in a year over in Wichita. Interesting city, one of the largest cities in the state of Kansas. It is the largest city in the state of Kansas. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. And I plan on coming back one more time if I can swing it tonight. And so this is Phil Dixon, and this is This Day in African American Baseball History. And this is the October 31st, 2025 edition. Thank you.